Today's guest is a true American hero in every sense of the word. And I'm saying this before he gets on because he would hate that type of recognition. He's one of the most humble guys you'll ever meet. Captain Florent A. Groberg is a Medal of Honor recipient, the highest military honor you can receive, and someone I'm honored to call my friend. He received the Medal of Honor from President Obama for his heroic actions in Afghanistan in 2012, where he, without hesitation, tackled a suicide bomber. He flew 20 feet from the explosion and lost nearly half the muscle in his left leg, among other injuries. His actions prevented the bombers from reaching the center of the convoy formation and killing countless military personnel and senior leaders. Captain Flo, as I call him, retired from the Army in 2015 after he spent 3 years recovering at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. He'll face his 30th leg surgery this year. Now a husband and dad of two, Flo lives in Texas with his family. But don't worry, he's still a Bears fan.
Welcome to the Out Route with your host, Lauren Screeden.
Let's do it.
Flo, welcome to the Out Route. How the heck are you?
Lauren, it's been a minute. I'm fired up.
You were one of my first interviews I did with the Bears.
Are you serious? So, first of all, I've been a Bears fan since I was born. I was born in France and I was adopted. My dad's from Gary, Indiana. And so diehard Bears fan.
Might be a full circle moment coming up here
He
with
used to bring me.
Right.
I hope not, but I hope not. And he was to bring me Chicago Bears stuff. And back in France, you didn't really know much about American football. And when I came here, I just embraced the Bears and fell in love with the team. And so it made me a lifelong Bears fan. And a couple of things happened over the years. Obviously, I joined the Army, I deployed. And while deploying on my second tour, one of my really good friends at University of Maryland, Edwin Williams, was the backup and then, at times starting center for the Bears. And so back after I got injured, he used to send me stuff. He used to send me that a couple of footballs. And when I got injured, he brought me to the Bears. So this is in 2012. And I did 5 days with Urlacher and the whole crew over there. And so I made connections and relationships. And after I received the Medal of Honor, I was doing a tour around the nation, just going on Colbert Show, meeting with different groups. And Chicago was one of those cities. And so when it said Chicago, who do you want to see? It's like, simple. I was like, Chicago Bears. And like, well, we can make that happen. I think it was, who was coach? Is it Coach Fox at the time? Yeah, it was Coach Fox. And so obviously he's a big military supporter. And I came in, said a few words to the team, met some of the crew again, got to go to the game. And then, so honestly, at that time, started building a relationship with Adam. But that was it. It was just a Medal of Honor reaching out to the Bears. And ever since I've been back, I came back last year and spoke to the team. And I just kept sort of sticking around, kind of like annoying, like.
No, we love having you. And I got
around.
nervous for a second that you were going to become a Cowboys fan. They were good to you.
Listen, I absolutely love the Cowboys organization. I am very close to the team and all the way up to the ownership. They do so much
It's
for
America's
us
team
on the
for a
military
reason.
side.
You got to love them.
It's just people don't understand. People don't know what happens behind the curtains, the reality, like specifically the Joneses, right? They're an unbelievable family. They've done so much for our family. Going to games, Cowboy games, was a lot of fun. They just know how to host it. But no, you can't ever take the Bears out of me. And by the way, even though they're trying to get my son to become a Cowboys fan, he'll tell me in the car, I love the Chicago Bears. So,
I love it. You got to carry down the tradition. That's great. So you were in France until you were 11. And that's when you, correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't speak English till you were 11, right? So what was that transition like coming over here?
I feel like it was exciting. That's probably the best way of putting it. You always tell the story about you grew up in France and you watched the movies and you watched the TV show. I mean, literally the shows that were on, you have 7 channels And the shows that were on were Roseanne and Cosby, right? So this is what you learn. So we watched a lot of Roseanne and Cosby show. Seriously, like a lot of it. And I just remember thinking, I'm moving to the United States. It's going to be the land of the big yellow buses for schools. Everything's bigger. You kind of look at the US as like a paradise. I don't know how else to describe it. So it was super exciting. Now coming in here and then realizing, oh, I'm staying here and I don't speak the language was a little bit uncomfortable. When you're immersed in an environment, you learn so fast. I mean, I was 11, almost 12. I was in English as a second language in eighth grade, regular
Wow.
English by ninth grade, honors English in 10th, and AP English in 11th. So I
That's
learned it
crazy.
really quick, but I think it's because I had to. You know, you're in everything you do. Everyone speaks English. I mean, there were not many French speaking individuals around me, so it made me uncomfortable. But it taught me a good lesson about me that I'm capable of learning fast, at least languages. But then again, it might be because of the people I'm surrounded by. My mom speaks 7, my dad speaks 9, so maybe they taught me something as a kid. I don't know, but I used to speak Spanish too, so language sort of
Wow.
come a little bit easier to
That's
me.
very impressive. I remember it was funny when I went and studied abroad in Spain. I took phonetics at the University of Sevilla, and the professor, he wrote 2 words on the board. He wrote blood and food, and he, like, circled the double O's in both of them and was like, "Your language makes no sense. Like, you guys just make up rules." English is, like, the hardest language to learn. He's like, "Look, Spanish, we put the accents, we put the tildes, we tell you exactly how to pronounce these words, and you guys just make up rules over here."
It's the most made up language in humankind. I mean, really is. You see so many videos. I didn't realize until I started seeing a couple of videos on like Instagram about, what you would think a word is pronounced this way because it's written this way because it's pronounced in this way with this word, and then it's completely different on this one. And you're kind of thinking like, no wonder sometimes I still to this day, I mean, I speak around the country and there are certain words I can't say. And sometimes I'll look at a word, I'll say it, and my wife will laugh at me. Yeah, it can be
I
a little
bet. Well,
frustrating at times.
how do you think that your language and all of that, and even just the experience of coming over to the United States and being thrown into it, like you said, how did that help you in your military career?
I think it's a key component, right? So I'm a firm believer that your foundation is set in your obviously early on years, all the way up to around middle school. I think high school you start to hone things in a little bit more, and then you really start to take off on whatever path after after high school. But for me, I lived for a year in Spain, right? I moved to the US at 11 years old, being immersed in completely different cultures, those changes, the mindset that is built inside of you as a kid to be able to cope and adapt. And then coming here and being able to go through these, I wouldn't say like there were tough moments. I didn't see them as tough moments. I saw them as challenging, right? But what it did is it allowed me to be more open, also more understanding of other people's diversity because I was a mutt, right? People called me a chameleon, a racial chameleon, because they didn't know what I was race wise. People were like, "Oh, you're Puerto Rican, you're French, you're Egyptian, like whatever the heck you are." And so I took that and took it and made that an advantage. It allowed me to better associate with all sorts of different people, allowed me to be more connected, but also it created empathy and sensitivity in how I treat others. And in the military, it's not a business for the sensitive. You go into an environment. I mean, think about this. You take an oath and
Mhm.
you sign your rights away. When you enter CCNJ in the military criminal code of conduct, it's a completely different world. Like you have your own court systems and stuff like that. And so you have to be tough and you have to learn how to take your strengths and weaknesses and apply them into your day to day. But it's a people business. And people forget that. I mean, in the end, when you're taking rounds, you're being blown up, you're in a firefight, you're gonna look in the eyes of your leader or your teammate and look for that trust. And it's all about those relationships that you built over the course of those months, weeks, years at times. And I thought I had an advantage there because I've been able to assimilate in multiple different environments and learn from people, make friends, feel welcomed, and do some pretty cool things, whether it's through sports or school or programs. And I took that to heart. And so it's funny that you asked me this question because to this day, in everything I've done in corporate or military, when people ask me about my success, like, how have you found so much success in the military or in corporate America? I say, because I treat people kindly and I invest in people first. And when you do that, you're better. Your success rate goes way higher because people want to be around you. They want to win with you and they want to win for you.
It's so
And
special,
that's
and
pretty
it's
special.
also so important. What's surprising to me is how rare that is very rare too in this in this day and age where, and not to get political, but we are living in a time where it does feel like there's a lot of divide. And I think that it's really important to remember that, yeah, everybody might have different opinions, but everybody's just people can love each other at the end of the day, and I think that that message I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like that message has gotten a little bit lost.
Oh, listen, it's not we
Mhm,
think there's a divide, there is a divide. It's I think to me there's multiple different things happening, right? This has been always around. We're just now a lot faster to the information. So opinions from completely random people are being heard. Completely, I mean, absolutely outlandish, ridiculous comments for a lot of trolls who don't even believe it. It's just to create a conversation to create anxiety, and that's now that's you turn on X, you turn on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, and so people have access to information instantaneously, which shapes their belief systems and at times their what perception of what's really happening. So what we're going through is actually not a divide in the sense of this is new. I think this has been around for a long time. I actually think we're a heck of a lot better than we were 40 years ago. I mean, last time I checked, right? We were just trying to, Martin Luther King's era and, 50, gosh, am I getting old? This is
I don't
getting
wanna
old.
talk
Like,
about it.
it's like 60 years, 50, 60 years ago. Oh my gosh. And so I think we're actually progressing in a weird way. Most people, I say probably 90% of people who are just paying attention to what's in front of them will completely disagree with me. I think that what we're actually changing and we're seeing
Mhm,
is a way of life, a way of operations, a way of information dissemination, right? A way of information acceptance, data acceptance, and it's really impacting us. And we don't even know how to
mhm.
deal with it. We're so overwhelmed. You turn on anything, it's just blah, blah, blah. It is weird, crazy story, comments. Have you seen this? Like, we just can't take a breath. And I do believe that some people take advantage of it. And I think more likely the situation that we're going to face is we're just entering a whole new era. My son, who's 3 years old, is going to be better fit for that era than me because I think he's going to grow with it. He's going to understand it. He's going to make sense of it. And he's going to be able to cope with it better. But it's going to make some significant changes in our way of life, in my
Mhm,
personal opinion. So that's how I see it. The divide's always been there. But what we're not doing today that we used to be able to do today is look at our politicians and feel like, okay, I know you're competing here, but I know you're having a
mhm,
beer after work. I don't know if they're having beers right now after work. I think there's this real, to me, the divide is really inside in Congress, on the Senate, on the House floor, and it's interesting. But I'm optimistic. I see some of those folks who are up and coming, the way they communicate what they want to go do. And I just think it's just a period of time that we're
mhm.
gonna have to go through. And it happens. It's just the way it's life.
Yeah.
It's human,
No,
it's
it's so
human
true.
nature.
I am impressed that you called it X, not Twitter. I still say Twitter. Talk about being old. I wanna go back to when you said you take an oath. When did you decide to take that oath, and how did you know that the military was what you wanted to do?
I came to the United States a year later, 12 plus. My uncle was killed in North Africa, and he was fighting a terrorist organization called the GIA, predecessor to Al Qaeda. And he was shot, beheaded, dismembered, sent in a box to my grandfather as a warning. And the reason why my grandfather was, this is in North Africa, Algeria, where my mom's family's from. He was a war hero. He spent 3 years in the French Indochine as a prisoner of war, so fighting for the French against the Vietnamese. And then when he got back, he was one of those individuals that sort of did an uprising against the French and for the Algerian French independence. And so he was one of the key leaders in that mission, well, not war. And so he was well known. He was a doctor. So they killed his son and did that. And that was a testament saying, we don't care who you guys are, what your history is. If you don't follow our Sharia law and our way of life, we're going to kill all of you. And my grandfather's response at the time was like, I have 5 other sons, and you've just made them very angry now. And so what the enemy probably didn't realize, and of course, it's not like they're going to think about that way, but thousands of miles away, there was a young kid that would absolutely loved his uncle that just learned that his uncle had been brutally killed for no reason. And so that was the first stamp in my life on what evil was. And at that moment, I wanted to be part of the solution. I was young and didn't know what that solution would look like. You fast forward a few years later, and I'm naturalized as a U.S. citizen now. My dad fully adopted me. 9/11 happened 7 months after I'm naturalized. And guess what? The GIA were the predecessor Al Qaeda. So it's the same people. And I felt like they were following me at that point. And I made a decision that I was going to join the military. I wanted to drop out of college. I was a freshman when that happened. But my dad kindly asked me to take a deep breath, sleep on it, get my degree. And so I said, okay, we we talked about it a lot. And in the end, I wanted to go in the army. I wanted to go Rangers. I wanted to do all these crazy things, right? All these fun things. But those two specific events 100% made me a warrior. I mean, there was no other path. I knew that this country gave me a right to call myself an American, and I had to go earn it. And if my country's at war, my duty as one of its citizens is to go fight. I'm a military age male. I'm nothing else. Like I'm the perfect candidate for this. And so I took the oath, and man, I'll tell you what, it was one of the greatest moments of my life. I felt like I was doing something so powerful when I took that oath. Now, you asked me 2 weeks after that if I thought I was still felt the same way. And when I'm about to, in basic training and waiting to get in there, and I've seen all these crazy people from all around joining the army with me, I'm thinking, man, did I make the right decision? Is this for me? But it's one of those really defining moments in my life. And going to MEPS was something I'll never forget. But yeah, it wasn't for money. It wasn't for anything else, or it wasn't for the ability to get a free education. It was to go out there and fight. To be honest, to be very direct, find, fix, and destroy all these people. Kill as many as I could. That was the mindset
Wow.
that I had going in.
And I mean, you talk about earning it. You more than earned it. What was the most challenging part about your entire experience in the military?
Probably, listen, so I was a runner at University of Maryland, so PT, physical training came really easy. It gave me a lot of advantages early on in my career. I think probably for me, the biggest challenge that I had was internal trust in my own decision-making process and making sure that I was ready. So I went through all the schools, did pretty well in all the schools, graduated, top, and I rushed it. I rushed it. My entire training, my 15 months of training from the moment I came in to the moment I was in Afghanistan. So 15 months from the moment I raised my right hand and started my training to the moment I'm looking at soldiers in front of me and leading them in battle. So that was 15 months, which, to be honest with you, is
Yeah.
not a lot, not a long time. But I think I rushed it. So the entire time I was training, all I can think about was like, I got to get through the school, get the next one, get through the school, get through the next one, graduate, graduate, so I can go to war. And when I got to war, and I got to Afghanistan, and it was in my tiny little, like, whatever you call it, bed, bunk, cot. And I'm thinking, I'm here. I made it. I don't remember anything that I learned because it was almost like I thought in my head that I was just doing, pump and dump this whole, data information just to make it to the next stage. And so I remember thinking, oh my God, how are they going to allow me to lead soldiers? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've been shot at. These guys have been here for a couple months. This is the most kinetic place in the world. And I'm supposed to be leading these people, make decisions, put a plan together, go fight. I think they got the wrong dude. And that's what's going through my head. And I remember calling my dad, and he said to me, I'll never forget, he's like, don't ever call me that stupid stuff. You're obviously qualified because they passed you through all that stuff. Go find your most senior non-commissioned officer. Tell him you're green as it gets. You have no experience, but you're here to learn. that you're going to make decisions and then go out there and do your job. And don't ever call me that. And he hung up on me. I'm thinking like, wow, thanks, dude. That's insane. I might die tomorrow. This is the last conversation. He hung up on me. But he was
Mhm.
right. You know what I mean? He was right. You have to go, you just gotta, sometimes you get in the big leagues, right? I think about NFL. Guys that do it all throughout college, all stars and stuff, and they get to the league and everyone's a little bit bigger, everyone's a little bit faster. Playbook's a little bit, more difficult to digest. The crowds are, the pressure of the social media and all that stuff is probably a little bit bigger. Um, Not sure anymore. And it's just a lot to accept. And you start to realize I'm in a big leagues now. Like there's no more, this is it, top. And so if I gotta be perfect, I gotta be,
Mhm.
and you start overthinking it. And you start not trusting in your own ability to be able to make that play. In my case, I was overthinking my job. My job's pretty darn simple. I have professionals around me.
Mhm.
They are professionals. My job was to put a plan together, get him on the X, right? Coordinate and have oversight of the entire firefight. Let them be professionals. They're the ones that are going to be shooting and doing all their things. I just need to be in control of the entire battle space. I need to know where the sectors of fires are, what's going on over there, who's getting low on ammo. I need to know where to call for fire, how we doing on the medical side, where to drop bombs over there, and then be able to coordinate back and forth with the base and say, hey, this is what's happening. I need this, this, and that. We're going to be doing this. We're going to move here and let my soldiers see that's it's really simple. The job is as simple as it gets. But I was so nervous and so scared that I wouldn't be able to understand that and do that right away. And luckily for me, that changed the next day when I met my second command. And I told them exactly like, hey, I'm green as it gets, but I'm taking my pride, my ego, and my rank, put them to the side. I'm going to come into you man to man, asking you to mentor me and teach me how to be the most effective leaders for this platoon while allowing me to make decisions. Because you have a decade plus of experience. You have 3 tours under your belt compared to me. And I have so much to learn from you, but I'm still the boss and I still need to make those decisions. And I still need them to trust me when I make the decision, but I can't do that without you. And he's like, long story short, he's like, yeah, let's make it work. We're in 200 plus firefights that tour. And I was able to make a lot of good decisions. I was shielded from a lot of bad
Mhm.
ones by him. Be like, you sure you want to do that? Yeah, you thought about that one? Is that really the place you want to go put a team on or go through? And so usually that meant like, let's go back, let's take a look and all right. And sometimes it meant, yeah, that's exactly what I want to go do. And you got to own it.
Mhm.
But it was self-belief. You see, I think that's just my whole life. I I never believe I belong, but no one ever knows that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like externally, like no one. Everyone's just always think I'm this super confident dude. I was in the military. I worked for one of the 3-letter agencies. I was at LinkedIn, Boeing, Microsoft. Now I'm in private equity, right, running billions of dollars of money and stuff. That everyone's like, dude, floats so confident and stuff. Man, I there's no more. If you were in my head, you'd be like, wow, this is insane. Like I have to convince myself. But luckily, when I really doubt myself, I jump in
Mhm.
to prove to myself that I can do it. But man, there's a lot of fear going in there
So I
sometimes.
always say you wouldn't survive in my head if you were up here, which is funny. I didn't even tell you this is called the out route, obviously, and that's how it all. Like what you just said is how I came up with the name because it's like getting out of your own head and just doing stuff. Because I went through the same thing on a much different scale, but people would say, "Oh, social media, you have the perfect life. You have the perfect life. You have the perfect job. You have all this," and behind the scenes, there's all this shit going on that you're like, "No, I can't I'm in decision paralysis right now. I'm going through it." And people are like, "Oh my god, but look, your life's great." And it's like, "Whoa." And exactly what you said, you have to throw yourself into it and believe in yourself, but when you don't, that doubt that creeps in, it's paralyzing.
It's paralyzing, 100%. Why do you think all these successful people have these people think they have a perfect life, have addictions, anxiety problems, unfortunately, knock on wood, no more about the
Mhm.
suicides and stuff. Perception is super interesting to me. In my personal opinion, the more success you have, the more pressure you put on yourself to keep it up. In your world, it's almost like I feel like, and I'm asking this about you, but I feel like, and again, I don't know because I'm not a social media influencer. I don't have a show, or I don't, or the marketing mind like some of you do. But I feel like when people see you and they expect, almost internally, I have to like keep it up, right? Just because, and then, and you're probably thinking like, man, this is
Mhm.
not what I want. It's not me, or I don't want to do this today, and but I have to go appear. I think about you. I think about like Stephen A. Smith and all these people like having all lives, right? Lives, relationships, futures, frustrations, in-laws, whatever it is, right? But then you're in front of a camera and it smiles, it's professional and stuff, and in back of your head, you're thinking like, "Oh my gosh, like, I can't, like, I have to go do this."
No, it's so true. I mean, exactly what you're saying though.
I
Like
didn't even do it.
yeah, I mean, I went and shot this pilot last spring, like a really exciting thing. And I called my aunt and uncle because I was in Tampa and I'm like, hey, let's meet for dinner after. And found out 5 minutes before the production meeting that my uncle has terminal brain cancer. And I'm like, but it was, and I remember it was 5:25. And by 5:30, I was in the production meeting and I'm so happy to be here. So I was like, am I a sociopath? Like, how can I like compartmentalize? I mean, I'm like, 1 minute you're like, you're just distraught, crying on the floor. And the next, it's like, hi, happy to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's so fascinating you say this. Absolutely, actually, I love that you just said that. And first of all,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, that's first,
Thank you.
first for your uncle. That's just because that's the what you're describing is how you have to be in combat. We lose friends, and it's the worst moment of your life, literally. When we did the ceremony for Brown, and then a couple weeks later we do Novacek, two of my close friends, and all the soldiers line up, and you walk their bodies or what's left of their bodies, and then you give them the honors. And I remember going in there and seeing Novacek, and your heart breaks and everything breaks. But literally, you have to turn around and be a professional right after that. You guys have to look at you and believe that you're capable of making that decision because you don't want them to be in that box or in that body bag. And you literally don't have time to grieve. And
Mhm.
that's not healthy. It's not healthy. I think that's the biggest cause of issues that you have from our war fighters and the ones who've been in war, been on the battlefield, is that we just never have time to grieve. And it wasn't that grieving is weak or anything. No, no, you can cry, but it's really I don't have time to say goodbye to you because I have to be ready to make sure that we don't say goodbye to our other friends. And then when you get home, it's just like you're
Mhm.
trying to disconnect, right? You want to bring back those memories and stuff, and so it's so interesting you say it that way because it's how we knew to operate, and that's not human, but that's necessary. And war is ugly, and that's the reality behind that. But to me, I remember walking after Novacek was killed. We did the whole ceremony thing. I remember walking, I'm in Jalalabad, outside and looking at the stars and just saying, like, just remember thinking, like, this is just so awful, right? Like, this is, we were born on the same day. It's just, both Bears fan, by the way, Blackhawks fan like me. And so we have a lot in common. And remember thinking like, this is just so terrible. Like it's so unfair. And you want to burst in tears, but I'm walking literally into the tactical operations center because I'm going to go plan out my next mission, you know? And as you walk through those doors, it's boom, game on, right? I'm a warrior. Let's go plan. And part of you start thinking like, I need to I can't think about this right now because I really need to be in my best mind to be able to effectively plan this next mission so that we don't end up like Novacek. And that was
Yeah.
just so difficult. And I think over the years, after I lost Griffin, Gray, Kennedy, and Reggae on August 8, 2012, I think to me, that's what really my demons came out and played tricks on me when I was recovering in the hospital. And that's probably the biggest start is when Brown and
Yeah, I'm
Novacek.
sure in a way you have more time to reflect in the hospital after when you're, I guess, considered safe, right? I mean, you're not at war anymore, but up here, there's all this stuff going on and you're sitting there in a hospital bed and that's when, I mean, I would think mentally when you don't have the next mission, right? Except for getting healthy, you don't have the next mission to go and do that with your guys. I would think that's got to be, of course, the physical pain as well, but mentally, that's got to be when it all just catches up to you.
It's the hardest time of my life. Combat was
Mm.
incredibly easy compared to that. Yeah, I mean, I was inpatient 5 months. You don't move, so you think, and it's hard for me to. I'm not a crier, so it's interesting. I have cried. I have no idea as a toddler, right? Because you cry
Yeah,
every 10 minutes as a toddler.
yeah. You're
No cookies.
familiar with that right now,
Yeah,
right?
like it's cookies. Yeah, no kidding. But in my life, I I think Carson would ask you. She'd probably tell you we've been together 11 years. I've cried maybe 4 times, 3 times, if that. I'm not a big crier. And so I remember thinking about that when I was in the hospital because I really wanted to cry for my friends, but I couldn't cry. And I thought I was the worst person in the world. What was happening is I was on Dilaudid, oxys, ketamine, morphine, um, um, and those drugs were interacting with my own mind. And my mind was trying to replay the scenario over and over on August 8th, 2012, when I attacked a suicide bomber to protect, at the time, Colonel Mingus and Command Sergeant Griffin. And when I tackled him, he threw me 30 feet, you know, wrecked me a little bit, but killed four of those my friends, Gray, Griffin, uh, Kennedy, and Reggae, who were 30 feet away. So I couldn't understand that concept. I couldn't understand how do I live when I'm on top of a guy that I tackled and throws me 30 feet, but these guys were 30 feet away themselves, were killed by the ball bearings. I just couldn't understand it. So night in, night out, I just kept thinking about that in my head. And in the end, what was happening is my demons were coming in. My negative thoughts were being fed by these narcotics, and these narcotics were saying, "Well, it's because you're terrible at your job. You got them killed. You couldn't protect them. It's all about you." They were family men. They were religious people. They were leaders in their community. And who are you? You're a 29-year-old, single idiot, and you have nothing. You bring nothing to the table. And so I was in a really dark spot, like suicidal dark, which I felt like a complete hypocrite after because I used to always judge guys. We all did, but I mean, I did. So we all did. I did. If you had any type of mental breakdown, we used to call it tiny heart syndrome, and you're no longer trustworthy. So, like, I got to remove you. And that's a self defense mechanism for war. And here I am,
Mm.
that guy. I'm that dude. I'm the tiny heart syndrome. And so I thought, wow, isn't that fitting? And yeah, you start to try to figure out ways to end it. But luckily, a guy named Travis Mills came into my room in Walter Reed Hospital on November 12th, 2012. And he had four prosthetics on, his quadruple amputee. Stupid Detroit Lions hat, by the way. Very, very annoying. But the biggest smile on his face. And he said, "What a great day to be alive. What a great day to be an American." And we had a 15-minute conversation. In 15 minutes, he brought in some light in this really dark space. And what he reminded me of is I have a mission. I'm still an officer. And I have now a purpose to tell the stories of these four guys who need to come home and highlight the sacrifices, the courage, but more importantly, the importance of service. And that to me was so powerful. And I needed that. Um, and it changed everything. But what I learned from the sequence is that no Al Qaeda, no Taliban, no Chechens, no ISIS, no Boko Haram is stronger and more lethal than my own brain. And that's scary. And so I've been a big proponent of mental health ever since because I get it. I get it to my own extent. I will never say, and this is one thing I learned, another thing at Walter Reed Hospital, never tell someone else who's injured, "I know what you're going through," because you have no idea what they're going through. You might have the exact same injury, both hurt your pinky, right? But the way you perceive that and process that is it's because it's your brain much different than the way I am. And so that injury to me might be whatever, I'll get through it. That might be like, I can't play the piano anymore. Well, and my life has completely changed and I don't know what I'm going to be doing next. I lost my purpose, right? I mean, this is probably an extreme example, but, and so I learned that at Walter Reed. Instead, be compassionate. Instead, be a listening ear. Instead, try to be as helpful as you possibly can. But when people came in my hospital rooms, like, I know what you're going through. I'm like, really? You do? Interesting. Well, what am I going through? Like, I'm
Yeah.
automatically disconnected. Like, get out.
It's so
Don't
interesting
talk to me.
how listening can be so much more powerful than saying something, than giving advice that you think is good advice, right? Like, you would think that that statement is compassionate and empathetic. I know what you're going through. And you're right. It's like, no, no, you don't.
You know what? You know another way listening is
Hmm.
presence is the biggest one. Because you could be going through hell. And my dad is a perfect example of that. He's not a man of many words, but he just sat in that chair and didn't say a damn word for 3 hours sometimes. But I felt his presence. And that to me, that was comfort. That to me,
Hmm.
that helped me a lot. He didn't have to say, he didn't go out, he didn't have to make up words to make me feel better. That's not who he is. Presence. So even silence can be an absolute powerful tool to helping you or helping someone go through something. Just knowing that you're here. Like, I'm committed, bro. Like, I'm with you. I don't have nothing to say because I don't know what to say, but whatever, we're going to figure it out together. And that to me it's a lesson that I learned. Don't try to always come up with the answer or the solution. Just let them know you're there. You're here to listen. And if that means sitting in silence for a couple hours,
Hmm.
hell, let's do that. And the moment you're ready to say something, I'm ready. So that's probably more powerful moments of one part of four lessons I learned at Walter Reed Hospital.
How do you honor
It
your
was tough.
friends that you lost? Is it the
Well, I
same
got this
one?
bracelet, right? Yeah,
Okay.
it's a different version
Yeah. I
because it
remember that.
breaks. But I wear, same one. Yeah, and it's you have to sing every morning you wake up and you kind of look at the bracelet, and you remind yourself that you're lucky to be breathing, and so to make something of this day. Um, I don't do that as much as I used to. I used to do it all the time because I've sort of graduated to the next stage, which is I don't need to do that. I need just to go out there and live my life to my best of my
Hmm.
abilities for these guys. Every time I wear the medal or talk about the actions I did, I will say their names. That's my commitment. That's the way I honor them. But being a good person, making sure that when it's all said and done, they can look at me and say, "Okay, yeah, you deserved it. You took care of our families. You're a good, great husband, good father, or whatever it is. But like, you deserve it." So that to me is my mission. Is every morning to just wake up and make the most of it, but I'm no longer as sort of crazy conscious about it as I used to be. Like I used to be like, I think it was became a detriment to me a little bit. It's
Mm.
like, man, I got to be better. I got to be
Yeah.
better. Like, Dad, you're a
Yeah.
human. Be good,
Totally.
right? You know, like
Good,
Ben
better,
Johnson would
best.
say that. Like just go out there and one foot forward and make something of this day. And I think
Do
that's
you
the way I'm
do
going to honor them.
Oh, god. Do
It's
you
the
do
best way I
something
can.
on the anniversary every
Yeah.
August?
Yeah. Usually we try to call the families, text the guys. We do a shot, my wife and I, of course. This year I got Loomered, so that was interesting. So I was about to go do my dinner and just yawn, and I got attacked by Laura Loomer. Miscommunications, my understanding. But so that was it. Sort of took away my day uh, because I had to deal with that stuff. And then I remember going to bed that night thinking, "Wow, what an alive day!" And just thinking that my four friends are probably laughing at me right now. Be like, "Haha, you know, welcome to the suck, dude." Because that's the way they would treat each other. Just kind of make fun of each other. For years, I didn't talk about that day. Just sort of avoided it. You dread it. Now it's just a reminder of I got to stay in touch with the boys and the families.
Mhm.
And a reminder that I'm lucky. We're lucky. We're all lucky to be alive.
I
And so
I know you get this question
it's
all the time, but how did you feel when you received the Medal of Honor? I could see it being, of course, it's one of the greatest honors you can get in the military, but for the reason and the consequences and what happened, I could see that being tough also.
yeah, I was complete shame. I felt like a fraud standing on that stage, thinking by myself and my team in front of me, and we goes to our families, my families, all the middle government leadership there, and being celebrated and highlighted, and coined a hero. And you're thinking, I got 4 friends that are not here. That was my patrol. Probably the wrong dude for this, and so that was a tough one to swallow. I don't think I've ever felt more uncomfortable. I don't think I'll ever feel more uncomfortable in that moment. I mean, I just can't imagine. And part of it is because I've never been on that type of stage, never expected it, never wanted it, never dreamed of it. And I think the other piece was the complete uncertainty of what this meant. And today, now I look back at it and I start to realize, wow, the medal's a medal, right? The medal it's not mine. It's in the United States governments, the military's medal. I'm a courier of it. Along with 61 other of my friends, fellow Medal of Honor recipients are alive right now. We're all couriers of it. What it is, it's a platform. So a platform to represent. So a platform to honor. It's a platform to give back. So it's a platform to push forward good initiatives, specifically in our communities. And it took me a while to really understand that, right? You go through the whole process. And when I realized, like, oh, yeah, this is not about me. I got it. We're going to talk about me for the actions for receiving it. So I'm part of the story, but this whole thing has got a life of its own that is way grander than what I'll ever even be, right? It's just so massive. And I get to play a small role of amplifying, augmenting its value and representing it well, hopefully, and honoring it. And so that's the way I cope with it. That's helped me deal with it. But it
Mhm.
was really difficult. It was a really, really, really shitty day
How
for
long
me.
after, did you receive it after you were injured?
Just over 3 years, like 40 months, 38 months after, 39 months after. But I had no idea. Like, I had no idea I was receiving. I didn't know they put me in for it. So I was out of the army. I was working for on the clandestine side of the house. And so when I got the call from President Obama, and we knew each other from he'd visit me in the hospital in 2012. He invited me to the White House in 13 after the Heat won the basketball championship. He as a Bulls fan, he wanted another Bulls fan to go in there and suffer with him. I had no idea like this was coming. So this was a
Wow,
complete surprise to us.
that's crazy. I mean, so President Obama, he brought you a Jay Cutler jersey in the hospital, right?
That's
Crazy.
right. He did. And then I got to I met Jay multiple times, and then I got to meet Jay and know him in Miami, right? When Adam Gibbs went to Miami. Which, by the way, I do appreciate this. So, Adam is one of my closest friends now. And when he brought me to Miami and I did this speech, I said, the first thing I said to the entire team is like, I just want to preface, I want to make it very clear that I am a Chicago Bears fan. And when Miami played Chicago that year, I didn't go easily. He invited me to a game. I said, no, not going to game. There's zero chance I could ever go to that game and sit on a Miami Dolphins sideline. I think I told him if the Bears in Miami made it to the Super Bowl, I'd be cheering for the Bears. That's what I told that team.
I'm sure they love that.
So
Brought you
anyway,
in for an inspirational speech, and that was the message, huh?
but I met Jay when he came out that second year of Adams because and I got to meet him as a person and talk to him. I don't think he actually had any idea where I
Really?
was. I don't think he remembered me at all. Um, I
Come
don't
on,
think
Jay.
so. Well,
You never
you never
know.
know with Jay. You never know. You really know because he's just so whatever. It's like he's in his own little world, and so I was like, man, this guy has no freaking clue. But I made him laugh once on the
That's
sideline. I was like, that is an
yes.
accomplishment.
That's
That can
that's a big
accomplish
one.
me.
That's a big one for sure. So now, I mean, dad life, what are you doing these days?
Yeah, dad life. I work my butt off. I'm on the road 2 to 3 nights a week for work minimum. And so I'm the king of the 5 a.m. flights or the late flights to get home. So I can put the kids to bed, take them to school, whatever it is. It's a difficult time of the year for my wife because Sundays is football, and Bears football specifically. So she she understands that. But Saturdays are dad's day with Orden and my daughter and mom, and we just go out and do different things. And Sundays are I give up college football. This is what I had to do, give one up with kids.
You
Yeah,
can't do
I just
both
can't. You can't
anymore.
do 2 days of
It's true.
football. It's the way it works. I mean, not my house. So I wish it will come back, but
Marriage is
so you got to pick one.
compromise. This is good.
So I give up college football. Soccer's on Saturdays, all
Yeah.
whatever the events are Saturdays, right? And Sundays is as soon as it hit noon. So we do whatever we want. For a moment to wake up, we'll go to the gym, we'll work out, we'll go to farmers market, whatever it is. As soon as it's noon, close at home and watching football. And the kid, he plays and he watches and he's having time of his life. We get a nanny to come in for a couple hours to take him, make sure he gets more activities. But it's about them, right? I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. My nights consist of when I'm home is picking him up, playing with him because he's 3. My daughter's is 7 months old, so she's still just super chilling. And it's like the routine: the dinner, bath, upstairs, lay in bed with him, read stories, tell jokes, boom, turn off the lights, leave the door open, go downstairs. And we're always like, we're going to watch Landman. We're going to watch Morning Show. We're going to do this and that. And we sat downstairs. We're like, no, thank you, dude.
I'm tired. I'm just tired.
I absolutely love it. No idea. My happy place is at home. Like this is right now my happy place where I'm not traveling for 2 weeks. I'm just so excited to wake up in my bed, see my kids, spend time with my wife, and just be in my house.
Yeah.
Like this is like heaven. Some people might be on a yacht in the Mediterranean. I'm like, it's in Frisco, Texas,
Finally being home.
on
Yeah.
my couch with my kids.
Yeah. I
I'm
get
not even
it.
getting home.
I get it. And your wife is beautiful, adorable, just the sweetest. Remind me how you guys met.
I was in Bethesda, Maryland. I was recovering, and I was in this apartment. And one of her coworkers, her boss, Marie, I used to coach in the summers in track. Like she was younger than me. So I used to go coach high school kids. I was in college in track in summers. And she was one of those athletes. And we stayed in touch over the years. Now we're all grown adults. And she calls me. She's like, hey, you should come meet us for happy hour. I have like 9 single girls. And I know you're single. And I said, I'm okay. I'm busy. And I was
Yeah, you're
literally
like,
playing Call of Duty. And she convinced me. And so I remember I walked and took the metro, and I got there and was then walking to this bar called Science Club on M Street in DC. It was the bar's no longer there. I'm walking in and there's a patio outside, right? So people sing outside, some people sing inside. This is October of 2000, my gosh, 11 years ago, 2014. And this girl drops a cell phone right in front of me. So I pick it up. I'm like, wow, she's cute. Give it to her. Say hi. But I'm here to see Marie and her 9 single friends. So I walk in there, can't find them. I text her. She texts me back 5 minutes later. She's like, oh, we're outside. Just went upstairs. So, okay, cool. So I just go upstairs, and the girl had dropped the cell phone was there. And I was like, oh, excellent. But I didn't get to sit next to her. There was another girl in between. So like, I try to figure out ways to keep communicating with her. And then finally that one girl left, and then I sat next to her, and that's the first time we hung out. Viewer's discretion, I got 2 shit-faced that night. So I, almost blew everything off because I ended up completely disappearing, and she thought I left and didn't get her number and stuff, but got her number from Marie, called her the next day, went out with her the next day. And then after that, hung out with her for the next 7 days. And a year later,
That's
she moved in.
And the rest is history. See, who needs a dating app?
The rest
Just
is
watch for
history.
people to drop their cell phone at the bar.
So it's so funny. I've never gone on a dating app. So no, seriously, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. She had just given up on, and just literally, she says the day before she had deleted Tinder or whatever she was using. And she's like, I'm taking a break. It's not working out. And I'm like, I don't use these things. I mean, to be honest with you, I had it because we used to sit there. We were so just guys sometimes are just weird. We just sweat, we just sweat. I never communicate with anybody. I just sweat. Because I just felt like, what am I going to say? It's just I just didn't see myself as the type of dude that we'll just set a date on this and go meet someone. I didn't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to a bar and talk to people. And that's what I did. That's how, my whole life. Plus the aesthetics for me, it's probably easier for them to get to know me first. So, but it's so funny how it happened. I mean, super lucky. But I will also say this to, whoever's listening that's probably going through like a dating rut and saying, oh my gosh, like I'm never going to find anyone. The last thing I wanted to do was
Mhm.
find a girlfriend at the time. Like I'm very happy single, loving life. And I had these plans and stuff. I was in a really good spot in my life. So
The girl
she
always
can't ruin
comes
my plans.
along, ruins everything you thought it was gonna be.
I had to ruin my plans. Now I have two
Had
kids.
to give up college football.
Okay. It's okay. I'm a Maryland fan, and Maryland's not doing too well right now. DJ and I, probably feeling the same pain. Hopefully, they figure
That's
it
true.
out. We do have a
I mean, I'm a
quarterback, which is
Hoosier,
good.
so
So,
life is good this year. It's insane. Because when I
isn't it
went to school
insane?
there, we were
Insane.
so bad. I mean, I don't think I saw them win, like, 3 games in all 4 years.
Yeah, it's a combination of belief,
Yeah,
good coaching, great quarterback, but it's just stuck to a
yeah.
game plan for the last couple of years, and it just beating all the odds. I mean, if they win it, I'm happy because I just think it's just
Oh,
great. That's a
totally.
great
Won
college
the
story right there.
Heisman, yeah. We'll see, fingers crossed.
One thing that I found super interesting, I told this to the Bears back in 2015. When you're deployed and you're in combat, when I was deployed and I was in combat, I'm just going to use my personal example because it's the one I know best. There was 90 of us at this little combat outpost. We had 3 computers and 1 phone. And so as an officer, you always allow your soldiers to eat first, use the computers, use the phone before you. It's just the way it works, right? So respect things, expectations. So I only had this small window once a week to go use the computer. And I would do that like super late on Mondays, right? Because we are ahead. And I told everybody, no one screws my time up. Because that was when I would get in there and look for Chicago Bears scores. Because I had 15 minutes to use the computer, even me. 15 minutes. That's your time lock, right? And so and then for that period of time, for that 15 minutes, I was no longer in Afghanistan. I was no longer being shot at or, wondering if one of my guys is going to get killed tomorrow. I was back home reading the news. The Bears beat the Packers. What's going on? We make the playoffs and not make the playoffs, blah, 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 right? And it just brought me home. And it's like it created this sort of like bubble and shield from my current state of affairs and gave me peace and excitement and a piece of home. And I told him, I was like, you guys, you don't understand the impact that you have on so many different individuals all across the world and how much we look forward to that. Because I would base my weeks on football. And then when football ended, I would transition to NBA, right? Or hockey. And back then, the Blackhawks were
Mhm.
super good. This is in the mix of like when they were winning all the Stanley Cups. So what you start looking is instead of having the mundane every day, blah, 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 now you're like, oh man, I'm excited for Thursday because, Chicago plays Thursday night football against the Lions, right? Or I'm excited for Wednesday because the Blackhawks don't play stuff. And you start to realize that's what these people are getting you through. For me, and for so many of us. These are conversations we're having, or arguments we're having, right? My best friend in the world. He was the best man at my wedding. We were competitors in high school, college together, end up in the exact same combat outpost. That little outpost with 90 people, super random. Same unit, same time, same deployment, same war, obviously, same combat outpost. It drove our company commander absolutely nuts. He's a
Ugh,
diehard Packers fan. You imagine living with that? Like we lived together for like 3 years, and it's like diehard Packers fan. So so we would have these amazing conversation arguments and just talk trash to each other this whole time. But what it did is it shielded you away from your current, I say current state of affairs, but your reality, what you're facing. It allowed you to be sort of home and at peace for a bit. I've had friends play for the Bears. I've had now coaches, coach for the Bears, friends of mine, and I'm looking forward. And like I told Ben,
mhm.
he's the right dude, man. This guy is a legend. He's gonna be a legend.
Yeah,
He's got a lot to do. The expectations are gonna keep getting higher for him. But we were talking about people. He does. He
yeah.
gets it. the people aspect. And you can see that shift this year
Totally.
in the guys'
No,
locker
I
room.
I totally agree. It was kind of the final piece of the puzzle that it feels like we've got control of the locker room. We've got, the leadership's there. So fingers crossed.
But the way I look at it, to me, it's a
Mhm.
process this year,
Mhm.
and it's the buildup, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Chicago needs. We need we need a little bit consistency, and it's gonna be this. And by the way, he knows this. He's gonna be judged. They're gonna
Of
call it
course.
a lucky
Yeah.
season. This is what they're gonna do. This is what they do. You're the 2022 Vikings, whatever. You're gonna come back next year. You're winning by 1 point, right? Blah blah blah. You're winning by 2 points. No, no. You. What they don't understand is what Ben's been trying to do is you build a foundation. This is how success happens. You build a foundation, and then you keep building on top of that.
How many surgeries did you have, and how is your leg now?
34 surgeries. So I'm limb salvage to this day, but operational. I CrossFit. I train. I can't run like I used to because of how they reconstructed my Achilles. But yeah, super
34
functional.
surgeries. Oh my
But
gosh.
34. One
Really?
more coming up. They got to break my toes and put them back together because I can't. I have a drop foot, so they fused my foot because I had drop foot, but I can't feel anything above my below my knee except for the bottom of my foot. Right, so it's the only reason why I didn't amputate it. My toe starts to curl and it starts to create pain in the bottom, but I'm not realizing it because I can't understand like what's happening on top. And so they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have to break them and put
Oh
rods in
my
them."
gosh.
So now I'm gonna be like, my
Yeah.
running's really gonna
Were
take a hit.
you expecting them to amputate it?
Yeah, I mean, they kept telling me it's like a 75 to 95% chance they're gonna amputate. Like, think about this. Okay, please sign here. This is really what they do. You say, please sign here and understand that when you wake up, you might not have a leg. There's a 75 to 95% chance that, you're not going to have a leg. And you're like drugged up, whatever, you
Yeah.
know? And you wake up and you realize
You're like, looking down.
I went into living some barracks on Walter Reed of Neighbor Bethesda because I needed
Mhm.
another, because I was in a wheelchair. And so I had to relearn how to walk because it was, the way they did to my leg infused and stuff. So I'll tell you this funny story because you appreciate it. There was building 61, like this beautiful new building. The cafeteria was there. All the amenities were there. And they put you in there if you're severely injured, right? And I was qualified to go in there. But because 2012 was such a heavy year of casualties, and specifically the year prior, that there was no more room. Even though I was an officer and all that stuff, if you're an amputee, you have priority. And that makes complete sense to me. So they put me in these barracks where some of the Navy folks lived and a couple other, a couple other wounded guys. But it's down a hill. And I mean, it's a significant hill. So you got to walk up. And one morning, my mom is with me, right? She's my caretaker. And she's like, I'm going to go to the store and get a couple things. I'm like, sure. I was like, man, I'm hungry.
Oh, no.
I can make that hill. And I'm in a wheelchair going up the hill, going up the hill, going up the hill. Uh-uh. Oh, God. Oh, my God, no. What'd I do? And I'm like shaking, holding it. Couldn't make it anymore. Because I thought I was still Flo Groberg from 6 months ago. I mean, I was in the best shape of my life going. I was going to go compete for best ranger competition, right? That was my goal. I muscle atrophy, like completely weak. I
I'm
lost like
sure.
35 pounds at that point. I'm just I'm like ugh, you know? And I forgot about that. I thought I was strong. I made it like maybe halfway would be a great exaggeration, a quarter of the way up. Still, and I'm just like, and by the way, it's
No.
January, not warm. And by the grace of God, some Navy dude was driving down and saw me and must have seen my face. All right. And he didn't even ask, put his car, put his hands on. He's like, come here. He starts pushing me out. And I said, whoever you are, You're my hero." He goes, "What were you thinking?" I was
I
like,
was
"Man, I thought
hungry.
I had it." She goes, "I don't have it."
That's so funny.
So, but yeah, it was a humbling experience for sure for me. But, you know,
I
it's funny
guess,
now.
yeah. Look back on that one and laugh, but yeah, that would be pretty that wouldn't have been great.
Oh, last one for you. I'm not even sure to put this on, but we had a cat. I had a cat. I had this girlfriend in college
Oh,
for my birthday gave me a cat.
okay.
What? Like, yes, it's interesting. So my mom ends up with the cat. My mom and dad. And my mom was like, "I'm not coming to this hospital without bringing a cat." So I spent 3 months of my life trying to prevent this damn cat from sneaking out. And she did. And here I am. Now I'm out of my wheelchair, but I'm on those what little
Yeah,
bike things, you know what I'm
yeah.
talking about? Like you put your knee on it and you roll. So I'm in this absolutely out of my mind trying to find and chase this cat that's not supposed to be in this government facility, right? And I finally, I don't know how I got her, grabbed her, and I'm over here come running back. And one of the Navy dudes just there, he looks at me, he goes, "Is this a cat?" Oh, he's like, "What is it doing here?" He's like, "Ah, I just found it." He's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna return it." He's like, "You sure about that?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yep, all right, cool." Walk back in, threw the cat back in the room. I was like, "Dear Lord, like
You're
this is
like
what
the
my life
cat
has
guy
come down
hiding
to."
cats in your
Fuck.
place.
Couple months ago, I'm protecting the highest ranking officer in all of Eastern Afghanistan and doing some crazy stuff, seeing presidents and governors and whatever. And now I'm chasing a cat on a trolley in the middle of a barracks and lying to Navy people about it. It's just
Life
like,
comes at you
what has
fast.
happened?
Captain Flo, thank you so much for joining me here on the Out Route. It is such an honor to have you. Thank you for your service, for your bravery, and thank you to all of you for listening. If you're enjoying the podcast so far, make sure that you give it a rating wherever you listen to your podcast. Comment, like, subscribe. So excited to have all of you here and on this journey with me. So that'll do it for episode 2 of the Out Route. See you next time.